Ever wondered what truly drives Donald Trump? From his meteoric rise in real estate to becoming one of the most polarizing political figures in modern history, his influence is undeniable. But beneath the surface, what kind of psychological forces are at play? Could there be a darker side shaping his actions, decisions, and public persona? Well, in order to really get an insight into Trump's psychology, one has to accept the proposition that he is a narcissist by nature. Psychologists have claimed time and again that Donald Trump has a grandiose personality disorder. He believes he is far smarter, far more successful, far more desirable than he actually is. For example, when he says things like, "My IQ is one of the highest," or "It's very hard for them to attack me on looks because I'm so good looking," these are clear examples of his inflated self-image. This may sound like mere conceit, but it's actually an indication of a basic human need, the need to be recognized as special, as unique. To Trump, grandiosity isn't a mask, it's a reality. That's who Trump is. Fascinating, right? But it doesn't stop there. This need for constant admiration is a very pivotal motivation in him and his cognitive processes. Trump himself stated this in a very raw manner. If people pay attention, that's what matters. This lack of need for approval is one of the main driving forces in this campaign and much of the actions he has taken, from the way he campaigns to his reckless statements. It extends so fully that he not only looks to the American people for the adulation he craves. Trump has described a global desire for his celebrity, dreaming of people in Nigerian streets shouting his name. This is a clear hunger for admiration, which has characterized much of his public existence, politics, and relations with the media. However, one of the more worrying aspects of his personality from a psychological point of view is that Trump appears to be a man who lacks compassion. Normally, a leader is well positioned to relate to the suffering of people and to be viewed as humane. But Trump's actions state otherwise. He doesn't reflect sympathy during calamity. Probably the most vivid and recent example of this is when he was seen throwing paper towels towards Hurricane Maria victims in Puerto Rico. At the same time, thousands of people were barely alive. Trump seemed to be paying more attention to how things looked from his perspective, and it seemed like he was in his own world, oblivious to the suffering of the people around him. This lack of empathy, particularly during a national disaster, raises serious concerns about the emotional aspect of his leadership. But that's just one part of the picture. This emotional disconnect carries over into his decision-making. Trump's impulsive nature often leads him to make high-stakes, risky decisions without fully considering the consequences. For instance, his campaign in 2006 was unconventional, and so was his presidency. Decisions were made quickly, sometimes with little consultation with his own advisors. What makes it rather interesting is these aren't just politically motivated behaviors, but character traits, volatility and aggressiveness that characterize Trump and his behaviors. They may seem reckless, but remain focused on sustaining Trump as the intractable president. Adding to this is Trump's tendency to see the world through a binary lens. He loves to polarize issues, to turn everything into a win-lose proposition. This kind of thinking leads to biases on issues that can't be answered in a yes or no manner. In both foreign and internal policies, it's clear that Trump doesn't budge much and he has a strictly black and white worldview. Sounds intriguing, right? But that's only scratching the surface of Trump's leadership approach. The last component that characterizes Trump is loyalty as a determinant of his leadership style. His inclination towards associating with people who exhibit loyalty has been well captured for a long time. What can be stated about Trump's administration is that during his presidency, his loyalists were rewarded with key jobs regardless of their suitability for the post. This ethic of loyalty over competence became the organization's fatal flaw, which affected the running of several government ministries. It serves to remind us how much loyalty means to Trump and how it's a hallmark of his administration. However, this focus on loyalty is only part of the story. The other significant aspect of change brought by Trump is personality cult. His followers have always remained loyal, and many have looked at him as the savior who can protect people from the social vices. Trump has gone to this, painting himself as the only one capable of solving the problems that he cited as being with America. They get used in some of his famous political sayings such as, "I alone can fix it," which are aimed at giving him the impression to the audience that only he has the solution to the problem. The mutual dependence of Trump and his voters is reminiscent of the relationship present in authoritarian traits, where people's submission go directly to the leader and not to constitutionalism. However, it's critical to analyze how Trump has impacted some of the democratic institutions as a construct. With these institutions, he fell most often into quarrels, especially with the media, the judiciary, and the electoral body during his term in office. That was after he didn't assure the American people of a peaceful transition of power after the 2020 election as required by the U.S. Constitution, and spearheaded the process of questioning the results of the election. These actions weren't only a stress on the preservation of American democracy, but also stress on the preservation of the democracy which was to prevent the USA from authoritarianism. Trump's blaming of minorities has only added to the worries about his authoritarianism. He's always been an advocate of hate speech against immigrants and other minority groups during his presidency. His words were frequently inflammatory, and his habit of demonizing these groups for electoral advantage has been compared to some of humanity's lowest moments. He relied on scapegoating to get support from his followers by presenting some people or groups as threats to the existence of the latter. Thus, Trump made the existing division in the society worse. The question that most people have held more controversy concerning Trump's presidency is whether the man has psychopathic personality traits or not. It's an unusual and rather disputable topic, but we still decided to focus on it as the subject has such an outstanding position. These include impulsiveness, lack of empathy, and the need for admiration. These personality traits are considered psychopathic, and guess what? These traits have been recorded time and time again throughout Trump's career. While we can't reach a political diagnosis, the fact that such traits are characteristic of a leader is alarming. The unpredictableness in the international level of actions, the disregard for the democratic principles, and the rise of social tensions made this argument a reality with a psychopath in leadership. When looking at Trump's presidency and its consequences, it's easier to identify the psychological characteristics that underpinned his authority. His narcissism, impulsiveness, authoritarianism, and possible psychopathy have defined his behavior and the political reality to a significant extent. These traits have divided the nation, angered other countries, and permanently altered the democratic structures meant to protect American democracy. In considering the future of leadership in America, the question remains, how do we make sure that such lessons are learned? The analysis of the president's personality provides not only the story of one man's political ascension, but also the lessons of how the world can be dangerous for those who have unlimited power, and how people should protect their rights and freedoms. Well, that marks the end of our video for today. We hope you enjoyed and loved it. On your way out, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for more videos like these. Till next time.